So this rise in singles, you frame it as a kind of crisis of coupling, right? So can you define that crisis for me and why it's, in your view, the leading explanation for the larger trends?
So if we look empirically at the data for a range of countries, we find that increasing number of people are staying single. That is, they are neither married nor cohabiting. So in the US, over half the people between 18 and 34 are neither cohabiting nor married. So they're single. And that's the same case in much of Latin America, East Asia, Korea, in China, in South Korea. I chat to all my Chinese students. Many single, no expectations, no plans, no desires to be married. So that's a massive, massive global friction.
So the coupling crisis writ large seems to be linked somehow to technology, right?
Yes, that's what I think, certainly. So I think we can say, there could be locally specific factors that go on in each place. Each place has its own cultural idiosyncrasies, and I don't want to ignore that. But yes, absolutely. The big shock that's occurred everywhere all at once is we've seen vast improvements in personal online entertainment. So we know, for example, in the US...
podcasting, everyone's just...
podcasters.
That's right.
But we do have this big increase in personal online entertainment, whether it's, watching shows on Netflix, sports bets, online gambling has become absolutely massive across Brazil and Latin America more broadly. You can, go on Pornhub. Online connectivity enables people to stroll on Instagram, play Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. So we're all becoming... It's not just, being single. We're all retreating into this digital solitude. And I think that's partly because technology makes it nicer and easier to stay at home. You can work from home. And some of these apps are so hyper engaging that you sort of get distracted by the constant stream of dopamine hits as each app, as each technology company competes against others to keep its users hooked. And effectively, the tech is out-competing personal interactions. That's my fear.
And that holds then, as one does. But how much of it is distraction per se, in your view, and how much of it is a sort of, you might say, like digital segregation of men and women, where men and women aren't just going online, but they're going online in sort of distinct ways and not interacting with each other?
That's true. But I totally agree that in person I think that male-female friendships are a really important driver of gender equality, because as you come to care about someone as a friend, as you listen to their stories, as you hear about how their day was or the kind of things they don't like, and they say, hey, I was interviewing this guy in Catalonia in Spain, and he was telling me that they went to watch a football game at the bar, and the women were saying that they didn't like it when guys were rowdy or aggressive, or when one of his female friends was approached by a guy and she said no to him, he called her puta, he called her a whore or something. And she was saying to her friend that was distressing. She didn't like that. And because he cared about his friend, he sort of understood that and he empathized that and he moderated his own behavior. I think that building trust, rapport, understanding of what offends or, not even just offense, but having a sense of what matters to the other person. I absolutely agree that retreating into these digital spaces of solitude, it harms our understanding and also our solidarity more broad, whether we care about other people, right?
Right. Well, no, and that's one of the distinctive features of current politics around the developed world, certainly, is some kind of polarization of the sexes, right? Where, and it was, I think, less extreme in the end in the most recent U.S. election than some people had anticipated. But I wonder too if there's sort of a feedback loop here, right, where the sexes don't interact and therefore are more likely to sort of like marriage and relationships are themselves a moderating influence
totally.
in
an
interesting way, right?
I definitely believe that.
And so people don't have that influence, and then they go online, and like if you're on social media, right, where people are always sort of performing their politics, and you see a lot of liberal women or a lot of conservative men sort of performing their politics, and those aren't your politics, right? And you have no relationship to those people. It just seems a lot easier to sort of create a kind of hostile generalization about right-wing men or left-wing feminists, right, than if you're having any kind of interpersonal face-to-face interaction.
I think that's all true, and I absolutely agree that intimate partnerships are a major important factor for building mutual understanding, common ground, etc. That said, I don't think this is just about men not understanding women, a sort of men from Mars, women from Venus story. So this isn't just the gender issue, it's a solitude issue of people losing the capacity, losing the social skill to charm. And make friends. And if you don't have a network that is socially active, then even if you wanted to go out,
Right.
no one is. And so it's all reinforcing, right?